Hi, Michelle and Jordan. Very nice to meet you. Uh,
Yeah.
Congratulations on the second season of the show. I had so much fun watching it so far. I want to know with the journey we've seen so far, what is next for our main character as far as now that the friendships are back, what next adventure can we expect in season two?
The adventures of season two, now that we have brought this group back together, is really centered around a question that was really our North Star in breaking the season and the writing process, which is how do these women grow up without growing apart?
Well, I loved a lot of the situational moments that Jules goes through and some of the other characters where you take that and almost make it into a little bit whimsical and add so much flair and seasoning. I think my favorite one, really quick, was when she accidentally likes the picture and how how it explains it. Can
Mhm.
can you explain the creative process in creating those moments that we can relate to?
Yeah, the magical realism moments are something that we like to bring in during moments of emotional intensity for the characters. Like when Jules is peak feeling, a high, insecure, unsure about something, and especially the cat lady who's sort of our harbinger of that world. She's really, feels like the voice in your head when you're working a problem out with yourself. She is sort of this neurotic fairy godmother. She's your instinct, your devil's advocate. Like, when you're working out a problem with yourself, that is when the cat lady kind of shows up to be the physicalization of that.
What is there a moment like that that you guys had thought of that maybe looked really good on paper that hasn't made the show yet?
Oh, there's a there we well, Jordan is a factory of this stuff. She's constantly coming up with these magical real moments. But I mean, it's one of the most fun when we're pitching it around the room of what like I'm trying to the one that we I think loved the most this season was best friend. You always
Oh
say
yeah, the way that you can communicate silently with a best friend, and like as is being an entire language, that we have Eliza Schlesinger come in and sort of play this linguistics professor of best friend eye contact American English. That one's really fun. I love the tornado of like when your friend
yes.
is having an emotional spiral, an anxiety spiral. But we think of these and we love these scenes. There were some that I had thought of that I didn't get to use in season one that we ended up using in season two. Like the focus group was an idea
The
that
focus
I
group is
had for a couple years that we then
like
put
when you
into
want to
season
send a
two.
text to someone and you just wish you had like a focus group to tell
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't send this, no, don't send a gif, you know so that was actually really, that was easy to execute, that one.
Yeah. And then, like a lot of the magical realism, like with the airport in the first episode, is sort of building off of the bus terminal from season one, and
Mhm.
and just sort of staying in line with that like same metaphor, but expanding it.
Well, I think that's where you guys had me hooked with the bus one because I kind of I like the fun idea of what was to come then for future episodes and situations. So I was really curious because we have shows like How I Met Your Father and now kind of season four of Grownish where they're kind of now in grown up situations a little bit more than just college. In your opinion, why do audiences find so much joy in watching the blunders and trying to figure out things like relationships and careers and is it the relatability or is it just liking to watch people kind of trying to figure off and goof off at the same time in the real world?
I think it's relatability. I think is something that I imagine our audience appreciates and attracts them to the show, is feeling like between these four women, everybody can see a part of themselves. I think probably most people can find a bit of themselves in each character, but then there are the moments where you're like, oh my God, I'm this person such a Stella, or this person such an Izzy. I wish I was at all like Stella. I'm not like Stella. You're kind of like Stella.
I'm a little bit more
You're like a little more Stella.
I'm like we did that, like
we were trying to say it as astrology signs where it's like I'm like a Madison with like a Jules rising and an Izzy moon or something. Yeah. Try to figure it out in terms of that.
That's great. Actually, that was my next question. Who did you find yourselves relating to the most? What character are you most excited to see develop in season, or for audiences to see develop in season two?
I think for me, I really loved Stella's arc this season because she's really confronting a lot of stuff from her childhood and in a new relationship with a woman. And I think that's, just all of the characters though. I mean, from Jules to, Madison to Izzy, their relationships with themselves this season is getting deeper. And I think that that's really a big part of what I think everybody's going to respond to, is because everybody because of the pandemic in a way had to have this existential crisis. And everybody sort of had to really go within and say, where do I want to go? Who am I, and what's my journey?
Yeah. No, I love Stella. We have really set up the storyline in the first season about her wanting to pursue sort of business and entrepreneurship. And I think we found a way for her to do that in season 2 that still feels really, really on brand for her, which I think is fun to kind of find that perfect hybrid of what she wanted to do and what she loves. So that is sort of like her evolving without abandoning like the fun party girl character that she started as.
Right.
And I love Izzy's journey. I think is like maybe the most relatable in this season 2 of just being like a sort of finally facing insecurities and facing yourself as your own worst enemy. I think I've yet to meet a person who doesn't feel like they are their own worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah. And then Jules her whole thing is daring to care, which is really confronting the fear that we all, have in terms of going for things.
Yeah. Going for things. I think Jules is that character who has in the past had the mindset of you can't lose if you don't play. And she needs to start playing this season. And that's what she does.
And Madison, on the other
is the opposite. She's to let go, try to control less.
Yeah. So they all really have very, very distinct journeys.
Yeah. Really clear arcs. It's almost like we wrote it on purpose.
Of course. Michelle, Jordan, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. It was nice getting to virtually talk to you both, and hope to see you on a future season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.